Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of the Monday Market Report. This is for the week ending October 11th, 2020. All right, so if this is your first time here, what the Monday Market Report is I take a look at some of the most notable post-1900, what I consider modern era coins to finish for the week. And we take a look at all of the various online auction outlets from eBay, Great Collections, Heritage Auctions, Legend Auctions, Stack's Bowers, David Lawrence, you name it. We take a look at all of the mainline, auction sites that host coin sales, currency sales. Sometimes, I'll throw a piece of currency in there if it hits a certain, date range that's relevant for this type of report. So this week, it's kind of a funny week. Because we have all of the great collection sales that I'm going to talk about today, but it's relatively light. We only have 14 coins to highlight on this report. Heritage Auctions does have a couple upcoming sales for the week. Okay, there's a Provenance sale of a collection that's being, that I think is closing out this week. So if you guys are looking for that statement piece in your collection, that's definitely one to check out. And there is also another one, I think it's either a signature sale or a commemorative sale. And because of these two sales, Great Collections generally dials down the amount of the highest quality coins for the week. Now these Great Collections auctions are posted, a few weeks in advance. All right, so they anticipate the upcoming show schedule, and they just seed in the type of coins they want to sell for the week. So that way it doesn't overlap on some of those other bigger, sales that you see out there. So we have a nice little selection, very diversified, different. What I can see here is people are still flocking to some of the more classical type coins, like pre-1950, that era. It's in pretty good, marketability for a lot of these coins, and people are just continuing to find those marquee pieces for either an investment or maybe to add to their collection or perhaps a registry. Okay, so we're going to take a look at these. Let's go ahead and start out with the first coin from Great Collections. We generally go in ascending order from the lowest denomination to the highest, and this is kind of like the featured coin of the show that I think requires a little bit of explanation because it's a 2019 Philadelphia Lincoln Shield cent. This one right here is graded PCGS Mid-State 68 red. It's sold for $941.40. It seems like a lot of money, okay? And it really does, considering this particular number I'm going to throw at you guys. 3,542,800,000 2019 Philadelphia Lincoln Shield cents were produced last year. That's a lot. Okay, so what makes this particular coin here that sold so much more special that it commands nearly $1,000? Okay, I think everybody needs to know. And that word or pair of words is called condition rarity. This might be the first time you've ever heard that terminology before in numismatics, but we're going to talk about it today, especially with this coin. Condition rarity is, in a sense, there could be X amount of coins produced for every year, for every mint, for every denomination. When it comes to the actual the surviving population of the highest grade coins, okay, people look at what is the highest grade that I can achieve for this specific coin. Okay, and the reason why that this is such a big selling point to collectors is revolving really around the PCGS or NGC registries. Okay, those registries, these collectors assemble the highest graded coins of each denomination for each date in a series, and it's all a points-based system. So they're looking for those condition sensitive type coins like this one right here, where mid-state 68 is indeed the highest grade that has been realized by PCGS for this coin and mint. Furthermore, to give you an idea, out of the 3.5 billion pieces that were made, only 8 of them have graded out as a mint state 68. Now, that's considering that maybe a few, 2 or 3 or 4,000 of these were ever submitted to PCGS, because no one would really think of taking a really new modern coin and sending it off to the grader in the hopes of, you know, a coin that you see here, as far as the highest possible grade. Okay, it's not for the faint of heart. Generally, you're gonna have to send out dozens of these. Okay, you might even spend about $500 trying to obtain the highest grade possible of this coin. In some way, it's probably not even worth it. Okay, again, it's not for the faint of heart. The way that you and I perceive grading, numerical grades, can be different than what the PCGS graders or the NGC graders look at. All right, so you know we're looking through 2 different types of rose-colored glasses, I guess. That's a very cliche thing to say, but you know we're looking at differing perspectives when it comes to grading. I mean, this coin looks good. I mean, but it looks like every other 2019 or 2020 Lincoln cent out in change today or coming out of a roll, I'll be honest. So $941, okay, seems to be the crest of the value of a coin like this, keeping in mind that if you submitted like 100 of these, maybe 10% of them came back at the max level. I mean, how is that going to affect value too? Because you're flooding the population, you're flooding the market with more pieces. So this is a coin that could easily plummet to $200, $300, $400 until someone finds that mint state 68 plus or mint state 69. So yeah, I probably spent way too much more time explaining condition, rarity in this particular instance, but at least you guys know. Okay, it's a real thing, and that's what buoys the value of these really new coins. People just need to know, and I figure that's the best possible explanation I can give to you. All right, so a coin that has no condition rarity whatsoever. Well, there is condition rarity, but this coin needs no formal introduction. It's the 1972 doubled die obverse. This is the FS101. Okay, so it's die pairing number 1. This is the most significant doubled die out of the dozen or so that exists for this date. As you can see, the front of the coin just speaks volumes. Okay, the doubling and the date, liberty, and motto. It's really out there. It's like the 69S double die. It's very strong. Now this one here is a PCGS Mid-State 67 full red. It's also CAC certified, and this one sold for $3,796.88. Is this atypical of a value for this coin? In this grade, yes. Okay, anything above Mid-State 65, I mean, we're talking about huge, significant multiplier premiums. You know, Mid-State 67 plus will be a coin that's worth double what this one is. That, again, talking about condition rarity, in spite of the fact that this is such a huge variety in the series, the condition also plays a huge role in the value. Okay, but this is a coin in like Mid-State 65 that can be obtained for $400 to $600. Still expensive coin, but it's not $3,800. All right, so the next one that we have here is a much older coin. This is a 1933 Denver Lincoln wheat cent. Okay, this is a tough date. All right, like they all are in Mid-State red. Now this one is a PCGS Mid-State 67 full red. This is nothing like the last previous 2 coins that we looked at. You know, given the archaic times, you know, the Great Depression, the upcoming World War II, you know, there's a lot of things that were going on during the 20s and 30s, and the coins were not immune to that, all right? The quality was lackluster during this time. A lot of the coins were not saved in the highest mint preservation grades like this one, and that's the very reason why this one sold for $1,069.88. 33 is kind of like the beginning of what would be known as the better quality coinage. Anything after like 1931 would be considered that. It's only when you get pre-1930s where you begin to see rarities in which the highest grade is like a mid-state 65 plus or a 66. There's some of those mid-20s coins that are just an absolute monster to obtain in those particular grades, and they're worth many times more. And the last Lincoln cent, of course, we have to talk about the kind of like one of the consummate key dates in the series, the 1914D, low mintage, as you would expect, but what would decent quality, all right, qualify in terms of value? Okay, this is an AU58. It is a brown coin, very oxidized. It's seen quite a bit of circulation. All right, and even has that little pitting mark on the reverse. Usually that would probably bother me as a collector if I went and spent $2,056.50 for this coin. Now that pit right there doesn't disqualify the coin from a straight grade, which is what this one is. Okay, that little thing right there is very acceptable on a coin like this. But there you go, an about uncirculated 1914D key date, sold for $2,056.50. And that is normalcy for something like this. All right, so the nickels that we do have, well, we have no Jeffersons this week. I think the better quality stuff was probably put on hold for either next week or the following week after these bigger sales through Heritage runs through. But we have, how about this 1926 Philadelphia Buffalo nickel? It's a PCGS Mid-State 67. It's just a really beautiful looking coin. And in spite of the fact that it is a Philadelphia minted coin, the rarity in this grade can't be understated. All right, now if we're talking about value-wise, no, this one pales in comparison to a Denver or a San Francisco 1926. Those coins are just many times more expensive in the same grade. But this one right here, you just can't sleep on as well. This one right here sold for $2,081.25, proving once again that the better quality, higher minted coins of this nature are still being scooped up in the secondary market. And it's going to continue to do so because this one is just an overall attractive coin. And then the same goes for this 1920. As you can tell, we're, pre-depression era of coinage. You see a lot of the just the heavy die wear on these type of coins. In the teens, however, they were better struck. But once you go into the 20s, the coins simply just look like this, and it's so hard to find a really nice, well-struck example. Now, this one here is a PCGS Mid-State 66 CAC certified. It is one of the more higher mintage coins, and keep in mind, this is also a very common date coin in low grades. You could easily find a VG to as high as a VF for around, sometimes $1 for a presentable piece with a full readable date, to as high as like $20, for something with a little bit more detail. You have a full horn detail on there and things like that. But this one right here is just a really nice coin with lots of beaming luster as a result of the die flow lines that you see on here, just kind of crisscrossing all over the place. It's a really cool look on this coin. So this one right here sold for $4,050. Okay. All right, and the final nickel out of it all is a much tougher dated coin. It is a San Francisco minted example. It's a 1918, so we were talking teens here. But you can just take a look and notice that it is a much better strike than the 1920 previous. This one is PCGS Mid-State 65. So it's a very middle-of-the-road type grade. This particular coin, keep in mind that it is not what I would consider a rarity. 4,882,000 pieces were produced for this date and mint, which makes it tougher. And keeping in mind the era, these coins were just not preserved at the highest level. So this one right here is kind of a one-off rarity because it is a Mid-State 65. It's a POP 38, which means there are 38 graded at Mid-State 65, and with only 5 finer. I believe there are 3 65 pluses and 2 Mid-State 66s. To kind of give you an idea, this one at this grade level sold for $12,137.62. If it was a Mid-State 66, the highest grade, that's an $85,000 coin. All right, so I would say this is a real bargain compared to something that is much more rare. Now, keeping in mind there are nearly 40 pieces at this grade level, so you can understand also why the sudden price decrease from one half-point grade to the other. All right, but this is a very stunning coin. I think you could do a whole lot worse for this particular date. All right, so we have one of the more common Mercury dimes. It's a 1943 Philly. This one right here is also graded in an old school OGH NGC Mid-State 67 full split bands. This is pretty typical. These coins were generally well struck during its time. This one right here is a real pretty example, and it sold for $1,192.50. A little bit tougher one, okay, a 24D. Not to be confused with the rarity of the 24D Lincoln Cent. This one is a nice grade, nice branch mint coin. It's a PCGS Mid-State 66 full bands, and compared to the Lincolns, these were much better well struck. All right, Denver usually puts out pretty good quality coins, even during the Great Depression age. This one right here sold for $2,545.88. Okay, and I would say that if you were looking to invest a good chunk of money on a high quality Mercury dime, I would say go for anything in the 20s. The 1920s Lincolns, I feel like, are kind of undervalued right now. Even though we have a couple of the key dates of the series, the 21 and 21D during this decade. So the other dates, man, I mean, you could get a lights out coin that will continue to either hold its value or enhance its value over time. This is a great investment piece. Wow, we completely skipped quarters because there is nothing noteworthy to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. But how about this 1955 Philadelphia Franklin half dollar? It's been quite a while since I talked about Franklin half dollar. It's on the MMR, but we got one right here, and it's a coin that is very easy to find in nice grades. Okay, so this is a PCGS Mid-State 66 full bell line, so it's got the strong strike on the reverse and the obverse. It's got the fully defined lines on there as well. CAC certified, and this one also has a little bit of original toning on there, and it sold for $2,115 straight away. I mean, it's a really pleasing looking coin for an otherwise, you know, relatively common coin to find in nice grades. Now, this one right here is not too easy to find. Proof coins of the early 50s are extremely tough as they are. They are considerably lower mintage than the business strike coins. Sometimes 10, 20,000 sets were produced. And even still, if you're able to find one with any sort of frosty cameo devices or deep cameo, which is really what you want, those coins are just stunningly visual, you know, pieces of treasure. This one right here, it's not too bad. 1951, a very tough date, very rare coin with cameo. It's a proof 67 to boot, and this one sold for $4,050. All right, so yeah, if you're, and that could go for any other proof coin from 1950 to 1959. Find one of those coins with deep frosty cameo devices on both sides of the coin, and you have a relatively rare coin, even in the later 50s. And this is a coin that I was excited to talk about, the 1929D Walking Liberty half dollar. Believe me, this is a much tougher coin than it leads to. Okay, first of all, it's a Great Depression age coin, which you would think that not a lot of them are in that great a quality anyways. But get this, this is a low mintage one-off type piece. Okay, 1,001,200 pieces. So just a shade over 1 million pieces were produced for the 29D. Okay, which makes it very tough considering that probably 98% of the other coins were used and abused. Keep in mind, This is a $50 coin in fine 12. That's a low grade, guys. If you're looking for a filler coin, this is a $40 to $50 coin raw. Okay, that's a hard pill to swallow, considering that there are probably other coins. You could get a really nice mint state 1939, 1940 Walking Liberty for around $50. You put both coins side by side. It's like, do I really have to choose? Because the choice is clear. But that just goes to show you just the importance of this particular date and mint mark. As a relatively short series, this is a coin that has been under the radar in terms of its desirability for being one of the lowest mintage coins in the lot. This one is a pop 10, by the way, at this grade in a 66 plus, with only 5 finer. So there's 67 out there that obviously is quite expensive. You're going to have to sell your Tesla Model S to even buy one. But this one right here sold for $11,812.50. Wow, that's a lot of money. And people, again, this is one of those kind of like under the radar type coins that not a lot of people realize has the kind of value potential, but this one does, and it's a head turner. Okay, so to kind of wrap it all up for the week, we have a couple oddball type coins. They're both Silver Eagles. This one right here has been the topic of hot conversation last year. It's the 2019 S Silver Eagle with the enhanced reverse. Okay, this is indeed a proof coin. They also came with a really cool certificate of authenticity, and they were all serial numbered. All right, so at the time of release, this was, I believe, like a $80 purchase, and right out of the gate, because there was like a really low mintage, even lower than the 95 West Point Silver Eagle, which sells for like $3,000 to $4,000 in Proof 69, and upwards of over $10,000 in Proof 70. But these right here became the new de facto low mintage Silver Eagle. Okay, this one right here is in a PCGS holder. It is a Proof 70. It's a perfect grade. No, I take that back. No, it is. It is a Proof 70. There were a few of these on sale. There was a Proof 69 as well, but this is the 70. It's also got the signature of John Mercanti, who designed the reverse of these things. Okay, keep in mind, as of next year, there's going to be a new reverse design on these Silver Eagles. So also consider that. But you have a perfect graded coin of a very limited release, along with an encapsulated certificate of authenticity, and you have a very valuable coin. Now, this one right here sold for $3,066.75. This used to be a $5,000 coin. I think if you were going to invest in one of these, now might be the time, because these will, 10 years down the road, be a $10,000 to $15,000 coin. It's going to be more rare than the 95 West Point because it is a lower mintage. But if you're able to grab a hold of some of those coins with a certificate number under 100, or maybe the last one made, wow, those would be kind of like the big chase pieces, but it requires the deep pockets. And then finally, yeah, we're getting headed off on the 95 West Point. We talked about the 2019 S Enhanced Reverse, but this is the originator. This is the one that did not sell out. This one did not sell out when it was released. And it's always kind of like a tough thing to kind of revisit because coins were literally in the doldrums during the mid-90s. Nobody paid any attention to them. The price of silver was in the tanker. Nobody really cared unless you were a diehard, U.S. Mint homer, or if you were into like typeset collecting or whatever. Coins were cheap in comparison to what they are today. And this was the Silver Eagle that today you just had owned. All right, and they were still available in 1995, as I remember it. And I can't believe my dad did not order one. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm like, man, it was available for almost a full year. But yeah, this one right here is not the perfect grade. It's approved 69 Ultra Cameo through NGC. Wild coin. Man, good times. This one sold for $4,284. Keeping in mind, this is a slightly higher, mintage than the 2019S Enhanced Reverse. And like I said, in 10 years, the 2019S and approved 69 will beat a $4,000 or $5,000 coin like this one is. It's just not that right now. As a matter of fact, it's a $1,000 coin. Oh, holy smokes. If you were going to get into a 2019S Enhanced Reverse for $1,000, yeah, that might be a good time to do that. But yeah, pretty crazy. Such a great list of coins. And I want to thank each and every single one of you for joining in. Hopefully you like the real me version of the Monday Market Report. Nobody liked last week's version. I wonder why. Which just goes to show you a little bit of extra information, even if it is 5 minutes too long, is relevant. You never know. One of you guys will take advantage and actually buy a coin on the list because you got the little extra bit of information. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys stay happy, healthy, and safe. And don't work so hard on your Monday. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. As always, like, share, subscribe. Hit that good old bell for instant notifications. And as always, Coinaholics, we are discovering together. I will see you next time. You guys take care.